Welcome to another edition of Seneca Spotlight. I'm Donna Gross, Downtown Tiffin Main Street Manager, and today we have the privilege of sitting down with Randy Waire, who's the owner of Champs and the Clover Club. If you enjoy this content, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Hi, Randy. Thanks for joining us today for one of our Seneca Spotlights. It's a pleasure to have you here. Owner of two businesses in our downtown, and we're glad that you're here today and we get to learn a little bit more about your journey, where you've been and where you're going. So thanks for coming today and being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I was, very humbled that you asked me to be on the show, and it's great. And just want to let the audience know this place downtown is amazing. It's really cool. Awesome building down here. But yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, I think a lot of people know who you are, but there's a lot that people don't know about you. So I thought we would kind of take a step back in time and start somewhat from the beginning, where you grew up and kind of how you moved back and where you've been. So
well, it started going back to Champs Barber Shop, where I started doing my barber stuff. It started in 7th grade.
7th grade?
Yeah, 7th grade, I had a buddy that wanted a buzz haircut, like number 2 all over. I'm like, yeah, I can do that. So I did that, and a couple of my other buddies, one of their barbers had a little accident, broke his leg, and his name was Jerry Bentz. He's a barber, was a barber by Tiffin University, by McCartan's over there. And they're like, hey, can you cut my hair? I'm like, yeah, sure. 7th grade, 13 years old. Back in 1993. But anyway, I'm like, yeah, I can do it. So I will never forget that day being in school and looking at their hair. I'm like, how am I going to do this? And I realized my dad had these clippers that had like these angles on it. So I'm like, yeah, I could probably just take one of those angles on one side and flip it over and like do the other side. And that should be really easy, right? So, they came in the basement, on Jackson Street by Tiffin University, and, I'm doing it. I'm like, it's way harder than you think, of course, and I'm tearing them up, it looks terrible. So I give him a haircut, and the funny thing is, it was right before we had school pictures. So I look back at that, I'm like, what were their parents thinking? God bless you, Toots and Mary. So I have proof of those haircuts. Yeah. I think we probably still have a yearbook in a box in the basement somewhere.
And the pictures are there.
And the pictures are there. So it started from there, and I just got really into it. I don't know why. And then a couple more people, can you cut my hair? And it just started taking off. And next thing you know, I'm really into it. 7th grade, I got the basement all laid out. I'll never forget, I had this little metal chair that it folded out, and you had steps, and you can walk up on the steps, and it's chair ladder combination. And that was my barber chair. And there's this old mirror that my parents had from probably the 70s that they probably got from a wedding gift or something. Mm-hmm. And I took speaker wire and tied it from the rafters and attached this mirror, and that was my mirror. And next thing you know, that stuck. I cut hair in that spot, from 7th, 8th grade and all through high school. Wow. And even to barber school.
Wow.
So
that's fantastic.
So that's how it started. And then
way back in 7th grade.
And then next thing you know, I got a little bit better in high school. Mm-hmm. So college kids caught on to it, being right down the street from Tiffin University. Next thing you know, I had football players coming to me, and I'm cutting their hair. And that's when I decided to, go to school for it, and went down to barber school right out of high school. Mm-hmm. And then that would have been, I think I worked at Tiffin City Schools there for a little bit, but October of 98 is when I moved down to Columbus, and finished up in 2000 and worked down in Columbus at one shop for a couple years, went to another shop. And then we decided after we had our second child, Luke, my wife, I still remember where I was at, and she's like, what are we doing down here? She's
Yeah.
like, our whole family is back home in Tiffin. She goes, at the end of the day, what's the most important thing? And I go, it's, be around family.
Yeah.
So she's like, let's do it. So I'm like, I'm already well established down there. Worked at a place for 5 years, doing very well. I'm like, okay. If we go to Tiffin, this would have been 2008. I was like,
Okay.
first you're going to have to get a job because I'm going to open a brand new barbershop and nobody's going to be coming in. So, and as you know, you weren't around here in 2008, but it was a bad time for Tiffin. American Standard just closed. I still remember being at St. Joseph's Church and they were doing petitions and they said, let's pray for the people that have lost their job at American Standard. And this is when we made the, commitment that we're moving back. And I looked at my wife like, I knew it was bad, but this is really bad. And like you look downtown, there's a lot of windows boarded up and stuff. And yeah, it was just not a good time for Tiffin. And here I am, opening a brand new barbershop up. And at the time, I was saturated with barbers, and not just barbers. I'm talking legends. Like we had Varsity Barbershop that Mike and Joe Blues. They probably cut hair. I know Mike cut hair for like 50 years. Frank Perna at Westgate cut hair for 50 years. Frank Mangiola cut hair for 50 years. Like I don't think that'll ever happen again. I mean, that's just incredible. And then had Brad Meyer, Jason Raids had an established business. I mean. So, I mean, it was tough.
Yeah.
It was really hard coming back here and starting from the bottom and hiring another barber that is making more money than I'm making.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, 2 kids at the time. Is before we had our third. But yeah, it was paying a babysitter more than what you're making.
Yep.
Like it was some stressful times. So.
Did you find your space right away, or did it take you a while to find your space?
Well, when I first came back here, I thought about maybe going in with somebody, but I'm like, you know what? Like, I know how I can be successful, and what if I go to that place, I'm not successful? And I didn't want to like be that one to like, go somewhere then leave. That's never good. So I'm like, I'm just gonna do it, right off the rip. So we're looking at the Hunan King building, which it was, drawing a blank again.
It was a little grocery store.
It was a little grocery store, not McCartan's, but it'll come back to me, maybe not. So anyway, that was for sale. And I looked at that and like, my dad's like, man, this needs a lot of work, But he goes, you know what? I think my neighbor has a building right next to the Clover Club. It was for rent at the time. And so we looked at that and I'm like, this is a nice building. It's all brick, very visible, front windows and stuff. And it wasn't for sale, it was for rent. I'm like, okay. I was like, let's do it. So that was like, I think that was like June or July of 2008, is when we started doing renovations. And then we opened December of 2000. I'm sorry, that was 2007. Okay. December of 2007 is when we actually opened. And at that time, I was only here like on Mondays. And because that was my day off down in Columbus working.
Oh, got it.
So to back up a little bit more, I told my wife she had to get a job. I was like, it's a word of business. So she worked at Tiffin University before we moved down to Columbus. And she was on, back then you went on Monster and you try to look for jobs and couldn't find anything. So I'm like, why didn't you go back to TU? They loved you there. So she calls them a day later. She's like, I got a job. Like they wanted her back right away. I'm like, okay. I'm like, this is great. I'm like, go there. She's like, I can live with my mom and dad. We can take Mara and Luke there and the dog. God bless Fred and Barb. So did that. I'm like, we'll put the house up for sale. This will be sold in a month. It's Columbus. And that was when the housing market took a crash.
Yeah.
So it's months, 2 months, 3 months. And then finally my mom and dad like, let's give your mom and dad a break and Melissa and the kids can move in with us, So she ended up living with my parents
Okay.
longer than she lived with her parents, as I'm down in Columbus working 5 days a week and just coming back here for Monday and opened up Champs. But it then slowly, just as things got better, I just took a day off down there, added a day here. And then October of '08, we finally sold the house.
Okay.
And then moved back here, and then just, yeah, at that time, working 6 days a week. Did that for 13 years straight, just there every day.
Yeah.
Every minute was open unless we had, a major family function or anything, but not taking time off just to take it off.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. That's the life of an entrepreneur and a small business owner.
It is, and no one will understand that unless they do it themselves.
Yeah.
I thought I totally understood that. Being down in Columbus, working for 2 different guys, I'm like, man, why are they stressing out about the dumbest stuff? But no one will understand it unless you do it yourself, because it's a lot.
It is.
Yeah, it is a lot. I grew up with my dad having a state job, working 7:30 to 4. Half an hour lunch, and I'll never forget the first job I worked at down in Columbus, the Barbershop. It was open till 7 o'clock. And I looked at that clock at 4. I'm like, my dad's home right now. I'm like, I'm going to be here for 3 more hours. I was like, holy smokes. Like, wow. I thought everybody worked 7:30 to 4.
Yeah.
But
was there a point where, in the beginning, you're transitioning and you're thinking, this is difficult and really challenging to have your own business, especially the way the economy was at that point. Was there a turning point? Like at what year, or was there a moment where you're like, wow, I think this is doing really well?
Well, when I first opened, everybody's like, are you doing okay? I'm like, I'm forced to do okay because I have to do okay. I have a family,
Yep.
So, but how long did it take to where I went to like 3 barbers? That was probably it was probably 2 years. And then I can't tell you exactly when, but maybe like in 16, it kind of hit a whole nother level. I think we might have doubled the business from 14 to 16, somewhere in there. Because we just do all walk-ins. We don't do any appointments. And that was totally new to Tiffin. No one really does that. And I think that's a huge part of our success, why we're up to 5 barbers right now, is you can walk in, and if we're busy, you can sign your name on a list, and we can write your phone number down. If I give you a general estimate, I give you 40 minutes, people leave, we call them back, we tell them 15 more minutes, and then they come in. And that just works so well with Tiffin. You can do a lot of stuff in Tiffin, Ohio in 40 minutes.
You can.
Some people love an hour wait, I'll go home and mow my grass real quick, I'll be right back. Or they can go to the Clover Club and have a beer.
Absolutely.
But that didn't happen right away. That was more recent. But no, me and my wife just love Tiffin, and we're very fortunate to have her parents, my sisters, her sisters. We all live in Tiffin. And I know that that's just not normal. I've been blessed. They all have good jobs, and it just worked out really well. And hopefully the extended family can do the same with nieces and nephews, and my kids can stay back here. So. But no, we love Tiffin, and it was the best move we ever made.
That's great.
And it really hit home when Mara, my oldest daughter, who's a junior at Findlay University, she was doing a reading at church or something, I forget, some project or something, and she mentioned, I think it was Catholic Schools Week, about Calvert. And she's like, I'm so blessed to be able to go to school with my cousins. And, so you get those moments, you're a parent, you're definitely did the right thing. But she's said multiple times about how cool that was. They grew up with her cousins. So.
Oh, that would be great. I think most people, you see your cousins for holidays. That's how I am, or how I grew up. I saw my cousins at Thanksgiving and Christmas and Easter, and but to be able to go to school with them and have those relationships, and they're wonderful extended family. So that's great.
And that's what me and my wife are all about. It's family first. constantly saying at the Clover Club and Champs, like, hey, family first, you know, like we'll figure it out. Like if you have something going on for your kids, you know, like, give me a notice and we'll make it happen, you know, or your family, like that's why we're here, you know?
Yeah, that's great. Well, we're glad you're here too.
Yeah, thank you.
So glad. I know my two sons went to Heidelberg and they've had many of haircuts at Champs. So very grateful that you're here and moved back and just found the value or saw the value in bringing your family here. Columbus is a wonderful place. There's a lot of opportunity there, but there's something about coming back to your hometown in a small town and having family nearby and the support of a community where everyone can kind of rally around you. And the community definitely has, you know, rallied around you. And
just so blessed with that.
Yeah.
So blessed.
So now we're going to fast forward to about a year and a half ago. You own your barbershop.
Yeah.
You're fine with that.
Right.
Now you own Clover Club.
Yeah.
Is that something that you always wanted to own a restaurant, or was it something that just kind of sparked something in you? And I know it's, you know, right next door, so you had a great relationship with Sharon.
Right.
And the staff there.
Yeah, it was.
How did that all happen?
Well, I heard that Sharon was trying to sell a Clover Club years ago, and that's something you do when you have a business. You don't advertise that you're trying to sell something. But I heard that was up for sale and didn't really strike me, you know. And then I had a buddy came to me and started talking about it, and he's actually one of my partners, good friend of mine, Tom Puffenberger. He's been a friend since kindergarten.
Yeah.
So he's talking about it. I'm like, no way, that's not gonna do it, you know. And then I started thinking about it, and I realized how Clover Club is so important to Tiffin. It's a staple of Tiffin, major staple. People that lived here years ago, when they come back, they're probably going to Clover Club. So I realized, I was like, what if somebody messes this up, you know? And my business is next door. And I still remember my dad teaching me when I was a little boy, like, hey, if you want something done right, sometimes you got to do it yourself. So I'm like, so I kind of thought about that a little bit. And then I thought about like what more, I mean, Sharon's done a fantastic job, and Dennis has a huge part of that too. She owned it for 25 plus years. Dennis has been there for almost the same amount of time. They built something really special. That was not a place to go get food. Now we have really good food. And yeah, I don't know. When me and my wife always go out to restaurants and stuff, we're always critiquing like the bartenders and the waitresses. And this is before we even owned anything. And always being very critical on the food. Oh, this is really good. This is too dry. This is this. This is this. You know, we're always like that. So I'm like, I was like, yeah, Barbershop and Clover Club, it's totally two different animals. But so started looking into it and started meeting with Sharon and kind of going over things. And I was like, yeah, this is something I think I want to do. And Melissa, my wife, was at Tiffin University for 20 plus years. And she's ready for something different, a little change. And I called her one day. I was like, I think I have something for you. And the Clover Club. she's like, what? I was like, no, I really think you'd be really good at this. And then, you know, a couple weeks go by and she's like, you know what? Yeah, let's do that, you know? And she, for the first year, when we purchased it, Sharon was still kind of running it. Melissa was still at TU, and I would meet with Sharon every Sunday. We'd just go over things. And then I think it was back in this past August, Sharon and my wife, Melissa, they worked together for like a month just going over everything. And yeah, she's got it and she's doing really well with it. And I think she's at the point now where we can start working on other things now instead of just learning the business. I mean, there's a lot to learn in that business for sure. And you're always learning in any business you do.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not learning every day, you're not doing something right.
That is true.
But, you know,
yeah.
And I'm not one to be ever complacent. Always trying to get better every day. And sometimes my wife doesn't like me for that, but it's like, what are you doing? You know,
Now, what are you doing?
It's Sunday
Yeah.
morning at,
Yeah.
you know, 6 a.m. She's like, you're nuts. You're crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm up and gone, but I know that that's my time to go do something before the kids wake up and we go to church or whatever.
Yep. Yeah.
To get
Gotta
that
find
time in. But
so what kind of, I know you've made a lot of changes, but you've kept a lot of things the same at Clover Club.
right.
You've added a lot of really wonderful things.
Yeah. Well, the biggest thing, it wasn't a business that was not doing very good.
Mm-hmm.
So my biggest thing was to keep everything the same and just slowly start doing improvements.
Mm-hmm.
We've done a ton of improvements that the ordinary person does not see.
Mm-hmm.
We've done a lot of stuff in the basement, general maintenance.
Yeah.
That
Important stuff.
that just needed to get done. And I started in the basement. I always tell everybody, like, anything you do in life, you have to have a good foundation.
Mm-hmm.
So I go, I'm going to start in the basement. We're going to get a good foundation,
Yep.
and we're going to work our way up. So finally, starting after a year, starting to get upstairs. And then we did some fun stuff right away where we took the plaster off and exposed all the brick. Put in 7 new TVs in the general
Mm-hmm.
bar area. So it's a nice, inviting place to watch a football game.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's just, I've always liked that atmosphere of that sports, you know, vibe. And there's been a couple moments that stick out to me already. Is when the Browns made the playoffs.
Yep.
Last year, I had to run in there doing something really quick, and I walked in. Everybody had Browns jerseys on, and whoever was bartending had it cranked up. You know, the commentating and everything, and just an awesome atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
And then just a couple weeks ago, this is a special moment. I was in there again. I had to go in there and do something really quick. Ran in the basement, came upstairs, and the Guardians are playing. You know, playing the game 5. They were playing the Detroit Tigers.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw one of my buddies in there. I'm like, wow, we got bases loaded here, huh?
Yeah.
And then, boom, we hit a grand slam.
Mm-hmm.
And the 35 people around the bar just all stood up and were like cheering. And then another side note, my good friend caught that ball. So I was like, I think that was Matt Coleman. And I just caught that home run ball.
Yeah.
So, and I like talked to the bartender, that was left field bleachers, right? And he's like, yeah, that was left field. I'm like, I know that was Matt. I know that was Matt.
Wow.
And then next thing you know, my phone's going off. Coleman caught that ball. And so, but just moments like that, like that's what I like about Clover Club. I want people to go there and have those memories and have fun with their family, because we're not just a bar. I have people come in the barbershop all the time that are in their 50s to 70 years old, and they think it's just a bar. We're pretty much a restaurant. We really are. And I think we're a pretty good one. I can say we're like a good one because I'm not in there doing the cooking, so it's not about me. I'm not talking about myself. But
well, I will vouch. You're an amazing restaurant.
Yeah.
Aaron and I were just talking before how we love the specials that you offer.
Yeah.
And every special we've ever had is amazing. It's delicious. The fresh ingredients. It's really elevated your dining experience at Clover Club.
It is, and that's what we're known for. We're known for that special. Like, as soon as people walk in, they look to their right, they look at that special board right away.
Yeah.
I talked to all the cooks. I'm like, you guys ruined it for yourselves. Like, everybody wants an amazing special now, so we have to have that like top notch, and they have not disappointed at all.
Yeah.
Dennis does a phenomenal job with that too. He's a lot of behind the scenes thing with all of that. Can't say enough about that guy. He's incredible.
He is. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a place you can bring your family in. We are going to be doing a commercial at some point. We already got a lot of footage on that. But it just explains like who we are.
Well, you mentioned you were playing the volleyball game.
Yeah.
Was that last week?
It was actually last night.
Last night.
Yep. Yeah, the Tiffin-Senecas won a district championship last night, which was pretty awesome. My daughter was a part of that.
Congratulations.
So I told everybody to put it on the bartenders to put it on the screens, and I heard we had like 30 or 40 people like watching the game. I'm like, that's cool, and that's what this community is all about. It's getting behind our local schools and like supporting them.
Yeah.
And we do Friday night football games. We always have one of the TV has high school football, and I can tell like people are glued to that. There could be something else going on, but they're watching that football game.
Yeah.
So, but there again, just I love the community and everybody getting together, and
Yeah.
it's just that's a joy I get out of Clover Club. It's just seeing people around me happy, because that makes me happy. Like that's all I really care about in life.
Yeah.
Like as long
Yeah.
as everybody's happy around me, like I'm
Yeah.
good.
Family, community,
Exactly.
Clover Club and Champs.
That's right.
So
Yep.
it all goes together.
Right.
Anything new that would be coming to Clover Club or Champs that you have coming down the pipeline, or anything you want to expand on?
We want to Clover Club. We do have a lot of renovations that we want to do. Not going to tell you. We'll keep some secret,
Yeah,
But
that's all
definitely
right.
want to do a lot more things in like the dining room side, the bar side, just to give it that wow factor.
And you do have the upstairs
Yes,
banquet
that's a
space.
whole nother animal.
Yeah.
We are booking right now for that, as booking up really quick for the holidays. We have an upstairs room that has a full bar. We can seat 40 and get 70 people up there. And you can have your own private bartender. And it's a cool little spot. And then after you're done with that party, you have the Clover Club downstairs. So it's really fun. But that was one of my main focuses was to kind of get that going a little bit more. And with my wife, Melissa, being on board right now, we're kind of focusing on that a little bit more. There's just not little places like that around here.
Yeah.
And like I said, you're downtown, and downtown is just, I can't say enough about downtown. I think I told Aaron Monst this before, like, man, what downtown has become since 2008 is incredible. And I don't see it stopping.
Yeah.
If I didn't have that feeling, I would have never bought the Clover Club. But I don't think we're done, you're done, Aaron's done, Tiffin's done. Like, I think downtown, I can't wait to see what it's going to be like in 10 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's going to be really good.
Yeah, when your kids are opening up their own businesses.
Yeah, well, now that you say that, my daughter has done that.
Really?
So Mara is a junior at Findlay University. She's studying graphic design and photography, and she just opened up her own business. If I say this wrong, she's going to kill me. MJ Graphic Design and Photography. But she's doing a lot of senior pics, family photos, has a wedding scheduled next October already. But yeah, so hopefully we can keep her here in Tiffin.
Yep, that entrepreneur spirit is running through your family.
Yeah, so
starting from the basement of your, your parents' house. And doing those haircuts in 7th grade. So that's amazing. What do you think the secret is to your success in just being an entrepreneur, from Champs to Clover Club?
Don't stop.
Don't stop.
Like, don't stop. Like, it's just work really, really hard. Like, I mean, I've put in, a lot of people don't, like, oh, being a barber is easy, go there, talk about sports and, just kind of hang out. But, I put 10-hour days in and I give it my all every day, every customer, full attention the whole time. Customer service, like top notch the whole time. But really just, digging in, and when something comes up, attack that situation like right now, and just keep going. And that's one thing that Clover Club and Champs do come together, is it's customer service. Because everybody's like, oh, it's a totally different animal. I'm like, yeah, it is, but both things, their number one thing at Clover Club, it's customer service. Number one thing at Champs is customer service. And if I can get the people that work for me to just buy in on that, everything's easy. So, and there again, very blessed. The Clover Club staff and the Champs staff, like, it's got really good people working for me. So very, very lucky to have that.
Yeah.
And I thank them so much, you know,
Yes.
so.
That is success right there. you
Yeah,
know?
this is surround yourself with good people.
Yep, that's a
You
good
know,
one. All
so.
right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to
Absolutely.
tell us your story and
Yeah.
your successes, and it's really encouraging to hear your journey, and we're excited to see where the future takes you. And we're just so glad that you're a part of Tiffin and downtown, and we're so happy to have you here.
Yep. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it. Thank you. Yep.